1.
Insurrection, obstruction, indictments, civilly liable for sexual abuse. The one man responsible for all that could be sitting in a prison cell on election day and still be elected commander-in-chief for these United States. That man is beholden to Putin, weakened NATO the last time around, and is currently tying himself to wealthy Saudi oil money. He enriched himself when government stayed at his properties. He campaigned on wanting to use government to go after his political rivals and wants to expand executive power. If Donald Trump is reelected, our nation is lost. So let's roll up our sleeves, get to work, and tell the MAGA folks no more before it's too late.
Code 914-803-4131, 914-803-4131. You can also join us in the chat rooms over on YouTube and Twitch. The YouTube link is just liberaldanradio.com, and the Twitch link is just twitch.tv/liberaldanradio. We don't use the Blog Talk Radio chat room, so if you're listening on Blog Talk Radio, you're free to call in if, you do say who you are in the chats, but you have to say who you are in the chats over on YouTube and on Twitch, because we don't monitor 3 chat rooms at this point. I don't have the bandwidth to do that. So, Nick Rich wants to know, what are we ranting about tonight? Well, it's about Alito. Alito is what we'll be ranting about tonight once we get there. Shouts out to everyone who's joined us already. Dakota Dave, Nick, Ichabod. I don't think we've seen Ichabod Deer in a while. Good to see you. If we haven't, I'm just forgetting. I don't know. Maybe it's my allergies. If I do sneeze a bunch during the show, apparently my allergies have been really acting up. If I sound nasally, it's because my allergies have been really acting up. See? And so I took some meds for it earlier today and just knocked right out. So I was surprised I was able to get up and running for this show. So I got Jeff, Suzanne, everybody chilling in the chat. Thank you so much for joining. Please remember to like the video, share it with your friends, have them join on in, share other videos and with the chats as well. Apparently I caused a little bit of a ruckus over the weekend, at least yesterday, with some of my videos that I posted, some 2 shorts that I posted, which I found rather amusing. We'll talk about that in a second if you have not yet seen it. So anyway, so there's the big audio that was revealed about Alito. We'll be watching or listening to the video. That's another reason why you should probably, instead of listening on Blog Talk Radio, follow along on either Twitch or YouTube, because we have on Twitch or YouTube the ability to hear when I'm playing video, whereas you don't hear it on Blog Talk Radio, and you'll get to hear silence. So that's one of the problems with the Blog Talk Radio setup. We're basically just using that for soundboard and a phone call to take phone calls on the show. Of course, I could always move I could move to a Google Voice number if I felt like it, but of course, that would not give me the soundboard. I'd have to figure out a way to have a good soundboard, and
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. So Jeff had heart surgery. Oh, we got a bunch of followers that just came in. Thank you very much, Purple Projects. Thank you, Trees Are Good. Thank you for the heart as well. Appreciate you. Yeah, please, Jeff, feel good. Take care of yourself. So, let's see. What are we gonna talk about first? Let's while we're waiting for the for more of the crew to show up, more Danimals to show up, so to speak. speaking of animals, you can support the show by becoming a liberal Danimal over on YouTube. Little as $2 a month. You can join over there. You can also support the show with super chats, buying memberships for others, super stickers, etc. If you're on Twitch, if you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe for free. It doesn't cost you a dime. You just got to hook your Prime gaming account to your Twitch account, lather, rinse, repeat, and do it every month. You don't have to do the connection every month, but you just got to hit the button every month. And so there's that. What else we got? We got. You could also follow for free. You can subscribe for free. I need about, I think, 16 more subscribers. The free versions over on YouTube, liberaldanradio.com, so I can be able to give custom loyalty badges. I think that's the problem. Like, I was looking into it the other day on trying to figure out how to upload some custom loyalty badges, and it just, I couldn't get it to work, and I couldn't find how to do it. I think they've stuck that with the 1,000 subscriber threshold. I think that's one of the other, on top of getting ad revenue from video watches, on top of that, you also, I think, have the ability to upload your own custom loyalty badges at that point. So if you definitely if you are a liberal Danimal and you want your own custom loyalty badge instead of the generic loyalty badge, get your people to subscribe so we can get you those badges. And some people might say, badges? We don't need no stinking badges, but, you know, anyway. Or as Weird Al would say, badgers? We don't need no stinking badgers. So, thank you very much, Nick Rich, for the loonie, which is a term for the dollar coin in Canadian. Because I appreciate that. Loonies and toonies are definitely interesting. I think I still might have a toonie or two from my last trip to Canada. Yes, 984 subs. We need 16 more. So, and I wasn't really that meh about I don't think my ad revenue would be big if I would get to 1,000. It's not that huge of a deal, but I really want to be able to make my own custom stickers. So now I'm like, go out there and get people to subscribe so I could do my own custom badges and not have the generic silly ones. Let's see. Greetings, you're my best home for rating with people, like-minded peoples. Awesome. Finally muted everything else, but you're still very soft. I'm going to plug the speakers. Let's see. Maybe I just need to bring my microphone up closer, or maybe there's just a sound setting I need to check, because sometimes the sound settings in on my computer like to adjust themselves automatically. So is everybody else having a issue hearing? Let's see. Input. Yeah, it's at 73, so let's up it to 100. I hate that it just automatically adjusts itself and doesn't let me have it. That might help you with hearing the volume at this point. So, appreciate you, Purple Project. So what did I do over the weekend? So I made a video, and I originally wanted to make a video about, you know, Donald Trump and all of the MAGA supporters who are comparing him to Jesus because, oh, Jesus was accused of a crime and he was punished for it, and now Trump's accused of a crime and being punished for it, yada, yada, yada. Trying to make him seem out to be this hero. It's ridiculous that he's making himself out to be this hero, or they're making him out to be this, like, godlike hero. And originally I was going to go for one joke, but I thought, you know what? Maybe that one joke might be too crude in comparing Jesus and Trump. So instead, I went for the him being hung because they want to compare Jesus and Trump. And what I said was, which I got wrong, I'll admit that I got it wrong, that Jesus was hung for 3 days, yet Donald Trump, according to Stormy Daniels, wasn't hung at all. And, you know, in reality, he wasn't on the cross for 3 days. He returned after 3 days. But all the conservatives who were all mad that I was making a joke about the expense of dear leader, their furor, they made a big furor about the joke. So I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I got it wrong a little bit. I'm sorry. I'm Jewish. Forgive me. You know, I don't quite have everything. Someone was like, you obviously haven't read your Bible well enough. I'm like, I'm Jewish. That's not in my Bible. But, which is part of the problem with a lot of these people who want to make a Christo-fascist nation out of the United States, is that they they don't care about other religions, they just care about their own. So instead, the second joke, if you haven't seen it yet, was, I'm sorry, I got it wrong, but, Jesus came after 3 days, and Donald Trump probably came immediately. And so I'm like, there you go. That's the joke I initially wanted to make, but I was like, you know what? I thought it might have been a little too dirty, so I just went with the hung joke instead. But since they were insistent on nitpicking me on the whole, he wasn't hung for 3 days, he was just on the cross for a little bit, I'm like, fine, you know what? I'll go with my dirtier joke instead. And there you go. So now you have both jokes up there. Jeff's like, okay, mine's warming up. I'm sure I was sitting there like, Jeff's gonna love these two jokes. If everybody, I'm sure other people in the chat clearly enjoyed the jokes too, and they said so in some of the comment sections. But I was like, if anybody's gonna really like these jokes, it's gonna be Jeff. So yeah, none of these Christian nationalists know their Bible well enough to recognize the Constitution doesn't fit, and that's true. And all of these Christian nationalists that hate communism, I'm like, go read Acts 4 and Acts 5, because while I may have gotten the facts wrong on how long Jesus was on the cross versus how long it took him to return, I do know a lot more than a lot of these Christian conservatives know. I mean, if you don't support socialism, then you can't support the gospel, because Acts 4 and 5 completely and clearly say that you need to give all of your stuff up, all of your worldly possessions, and donate them and redistribute your wealth to the people who need it more. Like two people who sold their property or whatever, and they lied about whether or not they kept the property for themselves, they died. So the penalty for not giving your wealth up to the people who need it more is death. That's the penalty, according to Acts 4 and 5. So, thank you, Purple. Wait, I love you already. I'm going to sit back and listen because I'm overwhelming death threats to. Wow, I mean, geez, how do you talk about the death threat? Oh, hey Veronica, good to see you. Nice to meet you. But yeah, it's the what I think was it Gandhi who had some problems in and of himself, I think, but Gandhi who said, I like your Christ, I don't like your Christians. And that's probably because a lot of the people who are Christians, especially the MAGA type Christian folks, don't really understand what their Bible supports. So yeah, Amy Collins, you mean Donald Trump is a Meshuggah? Yeah, well actually, I don't know if Meshuggah is right or if Momser is more correct. Maybe both. Maybe some of column A, some of column B. So you ain't never had a friend like me. Sorry, gotta do the Aladdin joke. So yeah, Suzanne, I like the video. He comes up short. Yes, unfortunately. And look, prematurely. Unfortunately, Donald Trump didn't convince his folks to have a premature evacuation from the Capitol on January 6th. So, anyway, but yeah, that was a fun thing to come, and I came up with it. And I was going to post it to somebody's wall first, and like as a comment, I was like, no, I need to make this into a YouTube video or I think I made it into a TikTok first and then upload it into YouTube because I need to share this video with it as a video because this is just too good. I was like, sometimes I'm like, I don't know if this is funny or not. We're going to try it. With this one, I was like, I'm laughing at myself. I was like, if it didn't amuse anybody else, I at least amused myself by it. But the fact that it's pissing off conservatives who are seeing it just makes me laugh even more. So, Suzanne, this reminds me of George Carlin. That's high praise. That is a very high praise. I appreciate that greatly. Thank you. Bigly, as Trump might say. So, wow, 15 viewers, 15 likes. Thank you so much. Y'all are keeping up over on the YouTube. January 6th was Trump's insurrection, or maybe that was just a time with Stormy. Well, he did not get elected after getting elected one time, so he did have electile dysfunction. So, there is that. what else we got? I want to try and find this video too. We'll look for it in a second after this, because a friend of mine wants me to. There is a song out, because there are some people who are denying that the MAGA folks are trying to compare Jesus and Trump. And I'm like, well, I've seen it specifically like on videos where they're, showing him like being praised by God, being blessed by God, hanging out with Jesus or whatever, like all of this stuff. Where it's clear that there are plenty of people who are doing it. So I don't care if you're a conservative and you don't do it, because the other ones prove that it's true, and the exception proves the rule, right? So, but we're gonna react to that video as well, or that audio maybe as well, depending on how it comes up, depending on how I see it. As that song, I think it's called "The Chosen One" or something. So we'll look for that first. So, wait, Steve goes, okay, YouTube was hiding this. I was looking. Wow, that's weird. Nick Rich, I'm your top prime cut of meat. I'm your choice. I want to be elected. I don't know what that's in reference to. But, yeah. So, let's see. Let's go ahead. We'll go ahead. Let's mute this for a second just so I can bring it up without problem. But you got Lauren Windsor, L.A. Windsor on Twitter, who went to the the Supreme Court, or the founders or supporters of Supreme Court dinner or something. It's a group of people that I guess try and help with funding of the Supreme. I don't. It seems like a bunch of conservative wackos that do this, but I could be wrong on the entirety of that. But unfortunately, you also had a situation where I guess the Supreme Court folks get to have the conversation with regular folks, so people get to show I guess their support to these Supreme Court justices and get comments from them when you normally wouldn't get comments from them. And so Lauren Windsor goes twice. She went last year and went this year, and posed as a evangelical type person who was very concerned about our republic and the values that are being pushed. And she talked to two people. She talked to Alito, and she spoke with Chief Justice Roberts as well. And the conversations ended up being two completely different types of conversations. But let's go ahead and flip the view. Let's see. I think we need to move this. That's the wrong one. Let's move this so we can see the text. Again, if you also want to support the show, you can Venmo Liberal Dan on Venmo. There's the buymeacoffee.com/LiberalDanRadio, or you can just go to liberaldan.com and click the Buy Me a Cider button, because I like cider better than coffee. You can click the Buy Me a Cider button, and that'll be a way to one-time support the show as well. Anyway, so here we go. This is Chief. This is not Chief Justice. Thank goodness he's not Chief Justice. Holy crap, that would be even more of a train wreck than the Supreme Court already is. So you got her, Lauren, who is having a conversation with Justice Alito, and here's how the conversation goes. And we'll be pausing it at points just to go over what he says and my commentary on it. Oh, this is coming in very low, it sounds like. I don't know if you... Oh, that's why, because that video audio is very low. Let's do it. Let's start again.
Hi, I wanted to say hello to you, Dan. My name's Lauren. I met you last year. I think you already met so, anyway, I wanted to tell you, my husband wanted to be here, but they asked me a business thing. It was just like, make sure that you tell Justice Alito that, like, he is a fighter, and we appreciate him, and he has all the grit, and I know
he's gritty, huh?
Terrible what you and your family are going through right now, so I'm just so sorry.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
But, and I'm sure you don't remember this at all, but what I'd asked you about was about the polarization in this country, about, like, how do we repair that rift? And considering everything that's been going on in the past year, as a Catholic and as someone who, like, really cherishes my faith, I don't know that we can negotiate with the left in the way that like needs to happen for the polarization to end. I think that it's a matter of like winning.
I think you're probably right.
So there, first and foremost, I cherish my faith. Don't know how we can negotiate with the left in the way that needs to happen for the polarization to end. Like, the polarization ends. The polarization is coming from mostly from the conservatives on that side of the aisle. And so basically, we have to win. And Alito's like, yup, you're probably right. I agree with you. So that in and of itself is scary. Let's continue.
One side or the other. One side or the other is going to win.
One side or the other is going to win there, Alito, which basically means that as a Supreme Court justice, at an official kind of Supreme Court type function, him and there in his role as a Supreme Court justice, he's saying that one side or the other has to win. He's not making a comment like there shouldn't be sides. We should all be on the same side of being for America. We could be against. We could disagree on certain issues whilst, being on the same overall side of freedom and liberty and stuff like that. But no, Alito is like, one side or the other is going to win. So he clearly sees that there are sides, and he clearly, he's clearly saying that one of them or the other one has to win, which is, to me, a very dangerous proposition for somebody to be in the role that he's in, especially when he's going to help decide more cases that have to do with the insurrection, that have to deal with the insurrectionists, that have to do with Donald Trump and his being a part of the insurrection and his document cases and all the other stuff that Justice Alito is going to have 1/9 of a say on, and even more if he gets chosen to write another horrible ruling like he did when it came to Dobbs and all those other terrible rulings that we've covered that he's written already. But let's continue to hear what Sam Alito has to say.
I don't know. I mean, there can be a way of working, a way of living together peacefully. But
I think your dad was like, well, maybe I shouldn't have been that much, but I still agree with you.
It's difficult, because there are differences on fundamental things that really can't be compromised. Really can't be compromised. So it's not like we're going to split the difference.
So yeah, you can't split the difference. You can't compromise on certain things. And you know what? Maybe I agree on certain things that I won't be compromising on. Like, I won't compromise on the fact that people should have the right to exist, regardless of if they're, cisgender or transgender. I think people should be able to have the right to have body autonomy. I'm not going to compromise on that. But, the problem is the right views, they'll say that they're for limited government, but again, they will push to pass legislation in such a way that prevents you from being able to have body autonomy. If you don't want abortions, don't have them. If you don't want to have a same-sex marriage, don't marry somebody who's the same gender as you are. Like, it should be that simple. But unfortunately for the extremist blowhards like Alito, it's not that simple for him. And he's basically doubling down on the fact that there's no way to rectify the situation that we're currently in. The one way to rectify the situation we're currently in is to make sure that Donald Trump and the MAGA folks don't get any more power. But I'm sure he disagrees with me on that point. He probably would love to see Donald Trump get more power, because Donald Trump, he might not even agree with Donald Trump's actions as an individual private person, but he may very well support the idea that Donald Trump is the person who's going to get us Project 2025. He's going to be the person who's going to get us to the point where we have, Handmaid's Tale, Gilead type situations. Let's continue.
And that's what I'm saying. I think that the solution really is like winning the moral argument. Like, people in this country who believe in God have got to keep fighting for that, to return our country to a place of godliness.
Oh, I agree with you.
So, a member of the Supreme Court Justice Alito agrees with her that we need to return this country to a place of godliness. Of course, when we lived as a place of godliness, women didn't have a right to vote, black people were slaves. You know, I don't know how godly that is to you. I don't want to worship that God whatsoever, but that's where he wants us to be. And I'm supposed to believe that he knew nothing about flying the flag, and I would not be surprised if in the next week or two or month or sometime before the election at least, that you're going to find video of Alito actually putting the flag up that he says he knew nothing about. I wouldn't be surprised if we find that at some point. 56 Nick Rich. Dictators don't need judges. Well, in reality, I mean, Donald Trump is a wannabe dictator, and that's true. But the thing is that he can't necessarily be an official dictator because of our system of government. So until he pulls off the Emperor Palpatine type coup like he did in episode 3, you're not going to have a dictator by name, but you'll end up with a de facto dictatorship because you'll end up having a Supreme Court and a Congress. If Donald Trump gets elected to be president again, you'll have both those other bodies, both those other branches of the U.S. government who will just rubber stamp anything he does. So he won't be a dictator in name, but he'll be a de facto dictator in practice. Let's see, they want to deregulate safety for food and manufacturing, things like that, but they want to regulate what they consider morality. Yeah, and it should be immoral to poison food and to sell poisoned food. It should be immoral to poison the water and the air so that people can't breathe healthily and drink healthy water. That should be immoral, but they don't want to. But to them, the almighty is the dollar. They worship the dollar. I think this is what a lot of conservatives, especially the MAGA type conservatives, worship. I think they worship maybe God third, money second, and then Trump first. Thank you for sharing 5 eggs. Appreciate you.
We look at the decline of our society, the decline of the nuclear family, and liberals, I just feel want to see that happen and proliferate. And I think we've been too permissive to say, okay, I understand the Constitution. I understand,
I didn't want to interrupt.
John, very nice meeting you. Nice meeting you.
So this is a flashback back to 2023. But yeah, I like she does a super great job of pretending to be this extreme right-wing evangelical type who is just very concerned about our country. It's such she artfully goes through this stuff.
Take care of it.
Back in 2023.
I just want to ask I want to be totally appropriate with the jurisprudence of it all, but just to be totally candid, how do we get America back to a place of really less polarization? Because I feel the court is undergoing this period of turmoil. People don't trust in, I think, just this was the last bastion of, I think, public trust. And how do we get back to that?
I mean, this is the last bastion of public trust. I think she's referring to the Supreme Court, which is kind of stroking his ego, which is great.
Wish I knew. I don't know. It's easy to blame the media, but I do blame them because they do nothing but criticize us. And so they have really eroded trust in the court. I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, the media, according to Alito, is the one that has eroded trust in the court. The media, not the fact that the court has made terrible rulings, many of which have been drafted by you, Mr. Alito. The court's rulings are what has eroded the trust in the court, because you said yourself in your nomination process, and so did all of the other guys and girls, women, men, whatever, all the people that are on there on the bench as conservatives. They all at some point said in some way that they support stare decisis. They support upholding the rule of law, upholding the existing judicial precedents. And while I'm not going to be one that's going to say stare decisis should be the end all and be all of everything, because without ignoring stare decisis, you wouldn't have gotten rid of Dred Scott, Plessy versus Ferguson, etc. So you wouldn't have overturned the bad rulings, but you've used your whole thing of I believe in stare decisis to basically comfort people to believe that, oh, well, you're not going to go after abortion, when you clearly went after abortion, and you did so in a way that ignored the Constitution, as we all saw when we reviewed the ruling on the show twice.
I mean, ordinary people, ordinary isn't the right word, American citizens in general need to work on this to try to heal this polarization, because it's very dangerous. I do believe it's very dangerous.
I think it's taking us to the brink of, very serious and perhaps like non-repairable rifts in the country. And I, for one, am someone I support your ruling on dogs. I support, I am very pro-life, but I don't know how we bridge that gap. How do we get people...
I wish I knew. I don't know. It's not... I don't think it's something we can do.
But the court can't do anything to...
It is something that you could do. You could actually start making rulings that make sense and that actually follow the Constitution, instead of making rulings that completely ignore previous judicial precedent and making rulings that ignore things like the Ninth Amendment. Those things. Those are things you could do, Justice Alito, to make sure that you had trust not erode from the Supreme Court.
I mean, we have a very defined role.
Yeah.
We need to do what we're supposed to do. But this is a bigger problem. This is way above us. So I wish I knew the answer. I do.
But you guys haven't been able to find, the leaker?
Pardon me?
The leaker,
Donald Trump's going to hear this audio and be like, ooh, found the leaker. I want to find the leaker too, because of the Russia P tape. And I want more leaking done.
Are you guys being able to ferret that out?
It's hard. You can't name somebody unless you know for sure.
And the only person that knows for sure is probably Alito, who probably did the leaking. But, that's my opinion, right?
We don't have the power to do the things that would be necessary to try to figure out, to nail down exactly what did.
And that's a feature, not a bug.
That's the problem. And even then, we might not be able to do it. But we don't have the power to subpoena people to testify, to subpoena records, phone records, or other things like that. We don't have that authority. So
Why? It just seems crazy that you can't, because it's so detrimental to the trust the public places.
She's so good. I mean, just it's so detrimental to the trust that someone was able to leak the thing, where in reality, the detriment to the trust are their rulings.
Supreme Court.
Yeah, well, we're not a law enforcement agency, It's people have certain rights to privacy. So
this week's Hypocrite of the Week is Justice Alito, who says that everybody has right to privacy except for when it comes to abortion. That could be very well what you hear Wednesday. Let's continue.
Law enforcement agencies can issue subpoenas and get search warrants and all that sort of thing, but we can't do that. So, our marshal did as much as she could do. There was limited.
It's always Marshall. Sorry.
So that was exhausting.
She did what she could do.
Seriously, I just wanted to express my gratitude for everything that you're doing, because it's a really important fight for the rights of the unborn. And
it's a very important for the rights of the unborn, and he is like, it is. So clearly, he believes that, and he is using back in his hearing, when he said that it's important for jurists, for people who are sitting on the Supreme Court, to not interject their own personal political feelings into their rulings. Now you are knowing now that he's saying that it's very important to do pro-life legislation, and put pro-life in big old quotes, because we know they're not really pro-life. Because if you're pro-life, you can't support the laws that would force people who are gestating to risk death because the miscarriage, while that is happening, hasn't completed yet, and therefore, you have to force the person to risk sepsis in order to get a procedure done.
I know a lot of people don't appreciate that, but it's important, so thank you.
Dun, dun, dun. So yes, there was Samuel Alito talking about...
Hi,
oh wait, that's muted again. We don't need to hear it again. But yeah, so there's this video of Samuel Alito. We can go over the video with with Roberts as well in a second, because the Roberts one actually is better for that. It actually makes him look better than Alito. But on the line, we do have Senor Cinco Huevos, 5 eggs, on the line. How's it going? Thanks for calling in. Oh, it's Khalil. Okay. I'm sorry. I thought we had... What's going on, Khalil? I thought 5 eggs did call. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Phone number, 914-803-4131. 914-803-4131. I thought your number looked familiar, but for 5 eggs from the YouTube chat was saying he was going to call in, but we got Khalil instead, so there you go. How's it going, Khalil? What's going on? Uh-huh. I was about to say George Jefferson National Park. What is this, from Good Times? But, yeah. Anyway, yeah, I haven't heard of it, but yeah, go ahead. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
If since that happened, since they're still investigating, I'm wondering if they're having sometimes some of the agents come up there sometimes.
So what was this? So do you know exactly what happened at the park?
No, no one did. He was just found dead after he was missing, and the FBI and all them, Virginia State Police and U.S. Forest Police, were investigating it.
Huh. Interesting. Well, I mean, if you are going there, hopefully you stay safe. So we like our friend Khalil calling in. So
yeah.
So what else has been going on?
Yeah. Nothing much. I'm excited about this trip, and then I'm hoping to draw some stuff. You're in New Orleans. I was just wondering if they have a lot of art there and a lot of construction, like graffiti and construction, all that stuff in New Orleans.
There's some graffiti that goes. There's some graffiti that goes on some of the overpasses and stuff like that. And there's some construction. A lot of the times, people will pay people to actually put their art up. There was this one guy that would. They called him the Gray Ghost, and he would walk around and he would paint over graffiti that was on the walls of other people. And I think initially he started off by going up to the businesses and asking them if they wanted him to take care of it, because he didn't like to see the graffiti that was up there, and he thought it made it look bad. But then something happened, and somebody actually paid an artist to come and do some graffiti-like art on the side of their business, and he didn't ask permission. He just went ahead and painted with his gray paint over the graffiti and basically ruined the art that the individual wanted to. And there's supposedly a Banksy drawing of the Gray Ghost putting gray paint on a wall that's been covered up with plexiglass or something, so that nobody can paint over the Gray Ghost painting that's supposedly of Banksy. So,
Yeah. Also, do you know? I was wondering. Did you heard about that situation in Wisconsin?
which one?
The where the guy had the red SUV and he ran into a crowd.
Oh, from a long time ago, the one that was claiming, the guy that was claiming that he was a whatchamacallit citizen, one of those, what do they call it? But
Sovereign.
the sovereign citizen, yeah, that train wreck. Yeah, I watched a bunch of that because that was just a train wreck that was going on.
Yes, I see. The thing is, basically, his car. What happened is the police had to shoot at him to get him to stop. And his car got damaged, but once it got to the impound, they repaired it. But I'm just curious, like because the thing that scared me is when he shot at the SUV, it went into the car, and there was a flash, and then you saw the bullet hole in the bumper, and where the bumper was black, and I was like, what could that be? How could it be black, and how could it flash like that?
I don't
So it
know.
did hit the wires.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. I mean, he was found guilty, which is good.
Yeah, because I know, like, basically, I was told that if a bullet hits the wire, even if it's in the car, it can make it spark.
That could happen, I suppose, but... Gee, my volume went all the way down to 64. There we go, that's better.
Yeah, but yeah, basically, I also tried to do some welding, but I was too afraid of that.
Just with the welding materials?
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, when's the camping trip again?
June 21st.
Cool. Well, I hope you have a good time with it. I'm actually going to be out of town the same time too, but I think that's is that a Sunday? I think that's a Sunday. That's July. That's July 21st is Sunday. No, I'm not going to be out of town at that point. I'm going to be out of town on the weekend of July. That's when I'm going to see House Sparks, Nerd Halen, because I got my tickets or whatever, or my table reserved. So I'm excited about that. But you have a good time on your trip, and I'll talk to you later. All right.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one, Khalil.
You too.
All right.
Bye.
Now, you didn't have to wait 5 eggs. It didn't matter. I can have multiple callers at the same time and be waiting on hold, so you can call in. At some point, I'm going to need to get a new computer, a new laptop at some point, because the volume problem settings in and of themselves are pissing me off. But it's just I can't do it yet because of the fact that have a whole bunch of other stuff I have to take care of. We have 2 car payments at the moment dealing with my mother-in-law's car. We have 2 mortgage payments at the moment dealing with my mother-in-law's house until we can get that sold. So yeah, fun. All that fun. Now, let's try this again. On the line we have Senor Cinco Huevos, 5 eggs.
Hi.
Hello, how are you? How's it going?
I am very good, my brother.
Well, it's good to hear from you. Thank you so much for calling in.
It's so awesome, dude.
So what's going on?
I have four fucking screens, and I'm seeing everything in the world.
Nice.
It's so cool. How many screens do you have?
I currently have 3 that I'm looking at. I do have a new desk, and we're going to see what's going on. But yeah, I have the main laptop screen, and I have like one over here and one over here. The one over here is big, so yeah. It's a good setup for the moment. But I do need to make some changes once the kids clean up all their mess in this room, which is never going to happen.
Dude, what's so cool, dude? I don't have kids, so
right.
My kids are my screens, so
there you go.
So I have a 42 and a 36 and a 24 and another 24.
Sweet. I'm jealous now. You're making me jealous.
I know.
So what's going on, man? What you want to talk about?
Massive computers that are awesome.
Well,
That's all I care about, dude.
I definitely need one of those too. It's just we're working on it. We're gonna get there. Eventually, we'll get to the point where I can have the where I can update this thing and be a little more high powered than what I am. I mean, it works for what I do, but like my battery shot, like I can't take. It's no longer a portable computer because if I unplug it, the battery just goes and just dies.
Yeah, portable computers are shit. So
yeah. So I may very well have to just get a desktop to work on for the podcast, and then maybe have a laptop or something else for when I go out of town or whatever. But as Herr Trump says,
dude,
it is what it is.
Thank you, Donald.
if I ever went out of town with my computer, I would bring it like a baby. It would have its own flight path.
Nice. Put it on the front like one of those baby holders, so you can just watch it all the time as you're walking around, just like
Fuck yeah, dude. Awesome, dude. You're doing a good job. I'll shoot off later. You know who I am.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much. How's the other half?
They're doing good.
Very good.
All right, later.
All right, have a good one, man. Bye.
See you on the flip side.
Yep, see you on the flip side. All right, so let's go back to blah blah blah. Let's see if I can find this screen again, because we did have the second video we wanted to watch, which is her doing the same thing, but instead of Alito, she was with Justice Roberts. So let's rewind this a smidge.
With everything that's going on right now, it's just, it's a very tumultuous time in the country, and I'm just curious, like, from your perspective on the court, like, how do we start to repair the polarization?
Well, I mean, the first thing I think is to tell me when the non-tumultuous time has been here. I mean, you look at the court, what the court was doing in the 60s, the court was doing during the New Deal, what the court was doing, after Dred Scott and all this. It's kind of a regular thing. People think it's so different and special. It's been pretty tumultuous for a long time.
So you think this is a normal period?
I don't know if it's normal. I mean, since I've been here almost 20 years, there have been quieter times. But the idea that the court is in the middle of a lot of tumultuous stuff going on, that's nothing new.
I guess I wouldn't say that it's not like it's an innovative thing. It's not new. I guess I really feel like we're at a point in our country where the polarization is so extreme that it might be irreparable.
Oh, I don't think that.
I think
polarization is extreme is like the Civil War. We did that during Vietnam. People were getting killed in Vietnam. I was there in Vietnam. This is all right.
Oh.
I mean, it's not all right, but it's not like it's as dramatically different. It's a common thing. People with their own perspective think this is so extraordinary. I don't know.
But you don't think there's like a role for the court in like guiding us toward a more moral path?
No, I think the role for the court is deciding the case.
You can't hear the clip, huh? I'm there. Let's see. Is it? No, the desktop audio's on. Let's see. It should be there. It's looking like it's going through.
Would you want me to be in charge of guiding us toward a more moral path? That's for the people we elect. That's not for lawyers.
Well, I guess I believe that the founders were godly, like we're Christians, and I think that we live in a Christian nation, and that our Supreme Court should be guiding us in that path.
Yeah, I don't know that we live in a Christian nation. I know a lot of Jewish and Muslim friends who would say maybe not. And it's not our job to do that. It's our job to decide the cases as best we can.
I mean, at least the thing is, you can at least maybe hopefully see the wording. But I guess the most important. Oh, there we go. That's why. All right, let's start over again, because again, Twitter started out at a very low volume. Let's start again. There we go.
Like, with everything that's going on right now, it just it's a very tumultuous time in the country, and I'm just curious, like, from your perspective on the court, like, how do we start to repair the polarization?
Well, I mean, the first first thing I think is to tell me when the non-tumultuous time has been here. I mean, you look at the court, what the court was doing in the 60s, what the court was doing during the New Deal, what the court was doing, after Dred Scott and all this. It's kind of a regular thing. People think it's so different and special. It's been pretty tumultuous for a long time.
So you think this is a normal period?
I don't know if it's normal. I mean, since I've been here almost 20 years, there have been quieter times. But the idea that the court is in the middle of a lot of tumultuous stuff going on, that's nothing new.
I guess I wouldn't say that it's not like it's an innovative thing. It's not new. I guess I really feel like we're at a point in our country where the polarization is so extreme that it might be irreparable.
Oh, I don't think that.
I think
polarization is extreme is like the Civil War. We did that during Vietnam. People were getting killed in I was there in Vietnam. This is all right. I mean, it's not all right, but it's not like it's as dramatically different. People is. It's a common thing. People with their own perspective think this is so extraordinary. I don't know.
But you don't think there's like a role for the court in like guiding us toward a more moral path?
No, I think the role for the court is deciding the cases. If I start, would you want me to be in charge of guiding us toward a more moral path? That's for the people we elect. That's not for lawyers.
Well, I guess I believe that the founders who are godly, like, we're Christians. And I think that we live in a Christian nation and that our Supreme Court should be guiding us in that path.
Yeah, I don't know that we live in a Christian nation. I know a lot of Jewish and Muslim friends who would say maybe not. And it's not our job to do that. It's our job to decide the cases as best we can.
Well,
it's a much more modest job than other people.
I don't want to monopolize your time. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Not at all.
Thank you so much.
All right, and there we go. We got Justice Roberts saying that he doesn't believe that we are a Christian nation, that he's actually taking into consideration the feelings and beliefs of other people of other faiths or no faith who might disagree with you. With the people on whether or not we're a Christian nation, and he also doesn't believe that it's irreparable, and he's not taking this extremist stance that Alito is, which is why when it comes to the 6 conservative justices, I will sometimes give Justice Roberts the benefit of the doubt, just like I did with when we were seeing the Dobbs decision coming in, or when I was predicting what would happen with the Dobbs decision. I said Roberts is not going to be voting to overturn Roe, and he didn't. I think he voted to uphold the Mississippi law and maybe fudge the boundaries on Roe a bit, but he didn't agree to overturn Roe. The actual decision to overturn Roe was 5-4, because Justice Roberts, as much as I disagree with a lot of the things that he says in the court, is somebody who embraces the idea of stare decisis, and once something has been decided, it's decided, and he does so even to a point where he'll even vote against what he believed, like, i.e. with the Texas abortion law before Dobbs was overturned that allowed people to be like bounty hunters or whatever. He did vote in support of that law, but his vote was overturned because at the time he was on the minority. A year later, when it came time to hear the Louisiana law, which is pretty much exactly the same thing as the Texas law, he was like, this court ruled that the Texas law was unconstitutional. I might have been on the dissenting side at that time, but because the court ruled a certain way, I'm not going to be the one that's going to cause it to flip back over. As such, I need to uphold the current stare decisis, the current judicial precedent that exists right now in this nation. So, again, I don't like a lot of his rulings. I'm not going to agree with him politically on a bunch of stuff, but at least he holds that stare decisis idea close to his heart and doesn't move away from it much, if at all. So, but again, there's still 5 others who are activist conservative jurists. So the fact that he won't do it doesn't necessarily mean that the others will. Doesn't mean the others won't either, which still puts us in a precarious situation in the terms of where we are as a country. So there's that. Let's go back through the chat since it's time to do a little catch up. Especially, I was catching up on the things where there was where's the audio. I did see the audio issues, but there's that. Let's see. Jeff's son cut his hand during a show, didn't realize it, had blood all over, made for a good group picture actors. Damn, that's crazy. Baby boomers are being crapped on every day. I'm a baby boomer. I mean, sure, but there are lots of baby boomers who deserve to be crapped on.